Hello, St. Mary's friends. This is Teacher Brian. I got turned into a plant. Oh no, just kidding. But this is a little plant called a Coleus plant, and it is growing out of a special pot, uh, but not the usual kind of pot. It's a pot for cooking, but from my old friend Vittorio, and he passed away a long time ago, but he gave this to me as a gift. He was a wonderful chef, but it was a pot that couldn't be used anymore for cooking, and so I thought I could plant a plant in there. Um, but I wanted to show you that plant because I'm going to read a little story, another Frog and Toad story. I love Frog and Toad, from that same book, Frog and Toad Storybook Treasury by Arnold Lobel. And this story is called The Garden. And some of you have heard me talk about my garden. I grow a lot of tasty food and vegetables, herbs, fruits, flowers in my backyard, but also in different parts of my neighborhood with different neighbors. Because I think we should just have some nice foods growing all around, and fruit trees, all that kind of good stuff. So here is the story of The Garden, another one that I love. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog, "it is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Anybody out there, do you have a garden? Have you ever planted something before? All right. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground. You could do this too. Put your head really close to the ground. And he shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What is all that noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "You are shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them, and soon your seeds will start to grow." And it's important to think about, what do plants even need to grow? Let me read that part again, and maybe you can think about, what does a plant need to be able to grow? Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them, and soon your seeds will start to grow. So think about that. I have a little experiment that I want us to do at the very end of this. So we'll see how it goes. That night, Toad looked out of his window. "Drat," said Toad, "my seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. What story would you read to your seeds? Would it be a story that you made up? Would it be a Dr. Seuss story? Would it be, what story would it be? I wonder. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. "Seeds, I love you, you're so great. I love to garden. Ooh, ooh." Maybe that's the song he sang, but I don't know. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. "Roses are red, violets are blue. I love seeds and I love you." He didn't really say it, I just kind of made that up. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Can you get out your invisible violin or guitar or trumpet? Or what song would you play for your seeds? Toad looked at the ground, and the seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. "Toad, Toad, wake up!" said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last!" shouted Toad. "My seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "but you were right, Frog. It was very hard work." The end. So, Toad planted his garden with a little help from his friend Frog. They're always helping each other out. They're such good friends. And Toad put those seeds in the soil, and he thought that if he just shouted at them, they would start growing. But then his friend Frog gave him some advice about what the seeds need to live. And I thought we could do a little experiment. So I have 3 cups. In 1 cup, you can kind of see I have a little bit of soil. In 1 cup, I have a little bit of water. You might not be able to see it so well. And in 1 cup, I have just some air. And now this is an experiment that you can do at home with your family. You'd have to ask first. If you don't have any potting soil, you might be able to use a shovel or an old spoon to dig some up from just anywhere outside. And then you could take any kind of bean. If your family has some dried beans, maybe some black beans. Let me see. So here's a little bag of beans. And these are all ones that I've saved from different beans I've grown in my garden. But you could just literally, truly just the kind from a store. If you have black-eyed peas or chickpeas or kidney beans or black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, cannellini beans, any kind of bean, you can take it. So I'll take some white cannellini beans. I'm going to put one into this cup that just has air. I'm going to put one into this cup that just has water. Plop. And I'm going to put one into this cup that just has soil. And I wonder, what do you think might happen? What do you think is going to happen to this seed that's just in the cup with some air and nothing else? Is it going to be able to grow? Is it going to just stay the same as a seed? Is it going to turn into a plant? And what about this one in the water? Will it start to grow and become a bean? These are all beans. Will it become a tall bean plant like Jack and the Beanstalk? Not quite that tall. And how about this one in the soil? And I'm going to do a little, there's one more thing I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to add something to it. I wonder if you can guess, what might I want to add to the soil? This soil is very dry. I'll give you a hint. You got it. We're going to pour a little bit of this water out into here. We'll leave some in there. We'll pour a little bit out to get the soil nice and wet. So this one still has some water to float in or sink in. And now this is a mixture of soil and water with one little bean in there. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to make a video next week, and I'm going to teach you a song about plants that I really love, that I would sing, that I made for my kindergarten students years ago, and we would sing together a lot. And I think I got to sing it for a lot of you one day when Miss Echo was sick. But yeah, so we'll check in next week and we'll see what happens. But you can do this experiment at home if it's okay with your family. All you need are 3 cups, or you could even use little bags or something like that, any kind of container. It doesn't have to be a plastic cup. Just make sure it's a cup that your family is okay with you using, or a bowl. And you just need 3 beans. And you could put one with just air, one with just water, and one with soil and a little bit of water. And then you can see what's going to happen. But make your predictions. Think about it. Think to yourself, what might happen to this one with just air? Is it going to grow? What might happen to this one with just water? Is it going to grow? What might happen to this one that has soil and water? Is it going to grow? Is it just going to stay in there? So, stay tuned and we'll see what happens the next time. But hope you're doing great, and um, I hope that you're enjoying all the beautiful plants that are growing that maybe you can see out of a window. Maybe you can see if you go on a walk, some of the tulips and daffodils and cherry blossoms that have been on the trees, and other flowers and beautiful plants starting to come up. All right, take care.